Hi, my name is Ernest Morrell. I am a faculty member in the Department of Arts and Humanities at Teachers College, Columbia University. I'm also the director of an institute. We call it IUME, that stands for the Institute for Urban and Minority Education. It's been around since 1973. It was founded by Edmund Gordon, so that's mostly what I do here is work through that institute to try to leverage research to make some kind of a difference in the lives of people, and that's really valuable to me. When I think about my research, I've done a lot of things over the past 20 years or so, and I've had to sum it up in a couple of sentences. I've really tried to figure out ways to motivate and engage young people to use the skills they have to better their academic trajectories, but also to make a difference in the world. And a lot of what I find is there's a disconnect in a lot of classrooms between what kids really like to do and what they're being asked to do inside that classroom. And if you look at them in an outside of school space, there are no failures in the world of culture, right? Everybody has an expertise and everybody can kind of get on at home and everyone understands the language. And it's only in school where we begin to kind of separate kids into success and failures. So I was really interested in how do we capture some of that dynamism that happens outside of school and bring it inside of school? So in my work with engagement, there are really three big questions that kind of anchor it. The first one is like, how do we get kids excited about learning? And one of the ways I talk about that is getting kids into the tiger crouch. When you're in the tiger crouch, your brain is in a different state of readiness and you're much more connected to what you're being asked to do. So like, how do we get kids to do that? The second question is really, how do we develop these academic or literate or intellectual identities? And how do we get kids to kind of see themselves for all the brilliance that they have? And the third question really relates to this idea of like the digital world, right? How do we make education more digitally relevant? And so you bring those together, and there's two bodies of research that I rely on a lot when I think about the work that I do. One is this research called aspirational research, and we know that kids really want to do well, right? They all have high aspirations regardless of identity marker. They want to do well in school. And the second set of literature really relates to this literacy and achievement that kids have a lot of skills and kids can do well and they will do well. So if they want to do well and they can do well, then we have to think about like what's going on in school when they're not. And what you realize it has nothing to do with ability, has nothing to do with desire, has everything to do with how kids are made to feel about themselves in the classroom and how the classroom leverages or doesn't leverage all these talents and interests they have. So I've been doing basically one thing the past 20 years, asking kids a couple of questions in the context of the literacy learning environment. If you could change the world, what's one thing you would change, right? If you had the kind of the power to share any message with the world, what message would that be? And to think about how that connects to the literature we're reading or how it connects to engaging the world. How do we create environments where kids are able to change the world? And how does that become a context for them to develop a set of skills that are going to help them to do well in school, but more importantly, a set of dispositions and sense of self that's going to help them to do well in the world. So with all of that as a backdrop, my work really focuses on the literacy development aspects of that. How do we embrace the multiple literacies that kids have, and that includes cultural literacies, technological literacies, both in terms of the way that they're reading the word in the world and understanding kind of what is going on around them and what's possible and what is impossible until someone makes a change. And how do we use those same sorts of technologies to help them kind of speak back and speak the truth to power? So one way we do that is having kids involved in what we call Youth Participatory Action Research. And it's young people asking a question from a problem that they identify, figuring out what kind of information they need to collect around that problem, how they might make sense of that information, how they might share it. So over the years, kids have done everything from looking at how the media portrays young people to looking at how schools invest or disinvest in certain populations, how kids can be more civically engaged, what to do to get teachers to think about changing their curriculum so it involves young people more until they're kind of reading what's out there in the world of research, and they're reading popular culture, and they're reading the media. At the same time, they're collecting voices of those around them through photos and documentary and interviews, and they're putting this all together in PowerPoint presentations and documentaries and blogs and hashtag campaigns and sharing it through the world through social media and in public forums and social action. And what you find is what you expect to find. They have a whole lot of fun doing it. And they say, I see how I could change the world. It inculcates more hope, but at the same time, it also allows us to develop the kinds of academic skills and competencies that they're going to need to navigate through school. What I hope happens in this work is two things. One, that we take young people much more seriously and pay attention to the kind of the beautiful minds that they have. But two, that we create learning environments that are fun, learning environments that are inclusive, learning environments that are youth-led, learning environments that are multimodal, learning environments that kind of walk out of the doors of our classroom out into the world, so that young people can not make a difference when they're 37, but when they're 17 or even 7. It's been an amazing ride. I can say that I have loved all the students that I've taught and worked with. And I come from that work energized and inspired, but in some ways also tremendously frustrated that we still have so many negative and deficit ways of talking about young people, when what we're missing is the joy and the love that they have for the world and the potential they have to help us solve a lot of the problems we face. Engaging young people around the literacies and the issues that matter to them should be the heart of what we do in education. And I see the work in IUME and the work that I do as a faculty member, just trying to show in these small pockets of possibility how we might rethink the world of education.